This is awesome.
Oh, Clark, hey. Good to see you among the living, man. Check it out. It's the latest talent mix.
Thanks, Pete.
Good to see you all among the living. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talon Mix. It's a Smallville recap podcast. I'm Brian, here as always with my pal Zach. Zach, what's going on here in the past?
I was just gonna say I'm enjoying this lovely February,
February-ish. Truly,
March.
I know it is a week after whatever last week was.
Yes, mm-hmm.
Whatever.
I'm enjoying my time in the future. It's there are a lot more robots.
It's amazing how fast the robot technology has increased from December.
Yeah, and the war is already over with the robot. Like it did not last very long.
Thankfully, we were ready for Terminators.
They're letting us use our computers still and do podcasts.
That's it, though. We're only allowed to use our computers for Smallville podcasts, which is inconvenient.
Honestly, and I'm not just saying that because they're listening, but I think things are better now that the robots are in charge.
There is a strange, I don't have a joke. I ran out of steam there.
That's all right. Yeah. Well, the bit went as far as it could, and now it's time to move on.
There you go. I have had a baby, as I explained last week. At the time of recording, it's still a future baby.
Right.
So we, Zach and I are making our way through the Christopher Reeve Superman movies so that the feed doesn't die while I am too tired to do podcasts. We watched Superman 2, the original theatrical cut. I have never seen it before, which is kind of crazy. Did you see it when you were a kid? What's your history with the movie?
I'm sure I saw it, half saw it when I was a kid, but I had no memory of that until I was a little older. I don't know. I think when Superman Returns came out, maybe I rewatched the first two. I saw the Donner cut when that came out. I actually still have the DVD. And then I think it's been a long time since I've seen either version. And we're only talking about the theatrical tonight.
Right. We might
have been a mistake, but
yeah. I don't know if you can talk about the movie without bringing up the Donner,
right.
of it all. So we'll just see what happens. If there's enough on the table for a full separate Donner episode, great. Because I haven't seen the Donner cut.
I don't feel like it's radically different.
Right. It's funny, when I was a kid, most of my movie watching experience was curated from my mom. And when my mom showed us a movie, that was not a guarantee. When my mom showed me Superman, that was not a guarantee that we were going to watch all 4 Superman movies or anything. So I don't know. For the longest time, I only saw the first one. For whatever reason, wasn't curious enough to dive into the second one. I kind of feel like through cultural osmosis, I kind of got it. Even before I saw it, I could have faked my way through a Superman 2 conversation. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Well, I also feel like, based on past conversations you and I have had on the subject, that you had interpreted the reaction to 2 as negative, largely negative.
I think I had as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember up until, the early 2000s, whenever they would release lists of the best sequels, Superman 2 was on there.
Right.
It was seen as a very good sequel for a long time, and so that's interesting.
Which is very funny. Of now having seen it, I liked it. I don't know if I would say it was good.
That's interesting. I do think it's good. It's a different kind of movie than the first one. I feel like this one is a lot more contemporary. It feels like a summer blockbuster, and the first one feels like a very unique, what would we say, like a Superman biopic.
Oh, right.
This feels like summer comic book blockbuster.
There's like an inciting incident and Superman has to go into action and
Right. Yes.
which yeah, I'd agree
And
with that.
There's like very specific set pieces at very specific points in the movie.
Right. I think had I saw this as a kid, I would have really, really liked it. And I think if they're in the alternate universe where I saw Superman 2 as a kid, I'd be sitting there saying like, yep, just as good and sometimes better. I am, however, that is not the reality that we live in. And I don't think I'm saying that now. I think there's parts, my experience of watching the movie, I was on my couch today. I watched it earlier today. And I was a little bit kind of hating, it's the wrong word, because I was having fun watching the movie. The word hate would be, I don't know, implying the more passion than I was really putting into it. But I had more criticisms than I did enjoyment. And I was feeling that throughout the runtime of the movie. And then suddenly the credits rolled and I was like, I liked it.
That's funny. I had a different experience. Last night I started it probably around 9:30 and I got the first half and I was like not super into it. I was tired.
Sure.
And then I closed my eyes and I opened them and the movie was over. And it was suddenly 2 a.m. And I was like, I need to finish this fucking movie because we're going to do a podcast tomorrow.
Right.
So I watched the second half in the middle of the night.
Oh, no.
I loved the second half. I was
half,
super into it.
The second half is much better than the first half.
Yes. Once the Zod plot kicks in.
Yes.
Like when they start fucking shit up, I think it gets really fun.
There's a lot of the early stuff okay. So we talked about some of this last time, but Superman 1 and 2. We'll go through the history of it. We'll do the trailer. We'll get into the nitty gritty of the movie. Superman 1 and 2 were made kind of together. They were shot simultaneously. It's my understanding is Richard Donner did not have a proper schedule, did not have a proper budget. All he was told by the Salkinds, the producers of it, was that he was over the budget and he was behind schedule. It's whatever he was doing was wrong, and there was no right.
Great.
So he was butting heads with producers a lot, the Salkind brothers. And then eventually they ran out of fucking money. So it was like, okay, stop working on 2 and just wrap up 1. They put 1 out. And they had finished like 75% of 2, something like that. That's the number that I keep seeing, 70 to 75. Yeah. So like a lot of it shot. So they release 1. 1's a huge success. When they come back to finish 2, Richard Donner has been fired. He's off the project. So then they bring Richard Lester in. And Richard Lester was involved in the process before this. He was, I suppose, like a middleman between the Salkinds and Donner.
Yeah, mediator is what I read. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just kind of took over.
What's funny is Richard Lester had previously sued these producers, the Salkinds, for a previous project they worked together. He didn't get the residuals or something.
I reckon there's not a lot of good blood to spare with the Salkinds. He might have been their best friend.
Right, yeah.
A lot of Donner's crew, or at least some pretty notable people, did not return out of loyalty to Donner. John Williams, in fact, saw the rough cut of Superman 2 and went, I'm good.
Well, I read that he met with Richard Lester and then was like, I can't work with that motherfucker. And was
Got it.
No, thanks. Let me ask you something. And maybe this is different in like 1980 or whatever it was. But if you were working on a movie and you had John Williams, he's like, yeah, I'd love to do the music to your movie. And then he met the director and was like, no, I don't want to work with that guy. Wouldn't you just be like, well, I'm going to get a different director to finish the 30% of this movie?
That would, you'd think. You would think. Though I also have to match.
Who do you want to work with, John? Tell me.
I do have to assume, though, that whoever the guy they got afterwards, who the score in this movie's fine. The good parts are the John Williams parts. But I have to imagine whoever they were is a lot cheaper than John Williams.
For sure. I mean, they were basically like, hey, can you play the John Williams music for us?
Right. Anytime anything big happens, boom, it just cuts into the John Williams theme.
It's a little off. Like, it sounds like maybe they were a few instruments shorter, you know?
That is what I've read is he had a smaller orchestra. The budget was way smaller.
Really? I was joking, but I did notice listening to it, it just did not sound as epic as the John Williams version. And I was like, why don't you just play the old one again? Just like hit play on a tape.
I believe the official credit is composed by blah 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 from original work by John Williams.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gene Hackman also said, go fuck yourself, and he did not return for a reshoot.
Right, which I don't know if Gene Hackman would have anyway. But yeah, there's a handful of moments in this movie where I wasn't paying like that close attention, and it was like any time Lex Luthor, I'm using heavy quotations, is there and you don't see Gene Hackman's face, that is not Gene Hackman.
Well, and it's like clearly not him, like
right.
And the impression, it's like they also have some ADR of a guy doing a Gene Hackman impression.
I was sitting there, and I would later read, yes, it is a different guy doing a bad. Do you remember like 2000s video games and like, say they'd make like Spider-Man or Lord of the Rings, and like they couldn't get the people to like do and wouldn't pay the people to do the video. Like it was never on the table that.
It's like when they make a cartoon of a movie,
yes,
and they get someone to do a Hayden Christensen impression or whatever the fuck it is.
Right. It's exactly that.
You couldn't get Hayden Christensen to do the voice of your cartoon. His quote was too high.
I didn't even think of that.
I mean, now he probably would do it, right? Like back then he was just getting done with Star Wars, so he was like,
right.
No, I'm not going to do a cartoon. But now they would just be like, he'd just be like, yeah, I'll do the fucking cartoon.
Right.
Give me money.
I have to wonder how different is because it's welcome to Star Wars talk. How different would Hayden Christensen's payday be versus the guy who played Anakin Skywalker on the cartoon after 5 seasons?
Like now, so he's like done now. 5 seasons, and Hayden Christensen is coming in fresh.
Yes.
Well, voice acting, like we've talked about this, voice acting is its own talent.
Right, for sure.
Its own skill.
For sure. Absolutely its own art form.
I don't know. At the beginning, obviously, it's a lot cheaper to go with the whoever.
Right. I don't know. If I didn't watch, I haven't watched the Star Wars cartoons or anything, but people like them. And I don't know, if I were watching, if they were to make another season of that show, which I think they did, I'd much rather hear the guy who'd been doing it for a while. Right,
for sure. And I've seen like a couple, he does a good impression. Better than the Gene Hackman.
Better. Yeah, that's the other thing. So for all of that comparison, this guy's worse than it could have been one worse, of us, just like. Rah, 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 rah.
I think it was like one of the sound guys. Like, I'll give it a try. I'm Gene Hackman.
Oh man, there's a whole, and it's funny. So you got to get him from point A to point B. So there's a mini subplot where like Lex Luthor is bumbling to get to the right spot in the Fortress of Solitude, and it's all shot from behind.
Yeah, there's a few shots like, let me climb up this. Clearly different guy.
So I guess we'll do what we always do. We'll start at the beginning. But first, how about I play the trailer for Superman 2?
Superman 2. The adventure continues. with the 3 villains from Krypton. Each one with the same powers as Superman. Each one dedicated to violence against mankind.
Think of it. 3 supervillains. Or 4 if you count him twice.
The adventure continues in Paris with Lois Lane.
I believe this is your floor.
And the romance continues. The adventure continues in Washington. The world is on the brink of destruction.
Superman, can you hear me?
And Metropolis is in ruins.
Superman, help us!
Is there no one on this planet to even challenge me?
Superman!
General, would you care to step outside?
Revenge.
Revenge!
Revenge! Now we're cooking, huh?
The big one's just as strong as Superman.
If you've only seen the first part, you haven't seen the best part. The adventure continues in Superman 2.
If you've only seen the first part, then you haven't seen the best part is a great tagline.
It really is, yeah.
I would not agree that it is the best part, but from a marketing angle, great. A+.
I love the fact that for so long we thought that we needed to have a voice telling us what the story was while we watched the trailer.
Yeah. It was like that for a long time.
It was,
and
yeah. Can you imagine if like the Dark Knight Rises trailer came out and they're like, and then Batman goes to a pit. And then he climbs out of the pit.
I like the equivalent of if and the adventure continues and Michael Caine is still here as Alfred.
Yeah. All your old friends.
Honestly, bring it back. I do get the warm fuzzies every time. Not so much from this era because I obviously I wasn't alive when this one came out. But when I hear in the 2000s that like upbeat, like he was just a guy.
Right, yeah, like the rom-com voice.
The rom-com voice, not quite the inner world.
I like the more the inner world one, but I like definitely the 90s more glossier version than what we just saw. Kind of the combination of what it is now and what you just saw in Superman 2. The adventure continues.
So I guess I'll just start at the beginning of the Wikipedia, and we'll work our way down. As before, like last week, the wiki is very broad, much broader than our usual Star Wars stuff. So we'll just hit stuff as we get there. Okay, before the destruction of Krypton, the criminals General Zod, Ursa, and Nan are sentenced to banishment from the Phantom Zone. So
Krypton effects. Oof.
There has to be some reshooting here, right?
For sure. It really looks like the modern equivalent of like in a Marvel movie when it's like someone in front of a green screen just CGI'd in, only instead of CGI, it's just like really bad.
Really bad. And it has to be Marlon Brando's not there. Which there was some stuff around. He was suing the Salkinds for gross
These guys get sued a lot, Brian. I feel like.
And don't get me wrong, Marlon Brando obviously also sucks, so it's just it's a little bit like that Godzilla trailer of like let them fight. So he got some gross stuff from the first Superman movie, and then so his image does not appear at all in this one. They in fact recutting or reshooting some stuff to make sure that he's not in it. But he also got some gross pay from Superman 2. So why not leave in the stuff they shot?
Interesting.
I don't know how that works. I do not understand the American legal system at all. But so yeah, this is not stuff they obviously would have obviously they were doing this stuff at the same time. So like if this was like intended originally, they would have just done it on set while they had those Krypton sets built. Yeah. Instead, it's just awkward. It's awkward looking. And also, once again, goes to show, we talked about this last week, that first part of the movie doesn't have to be in that first movie.
No.
It could just be in this movie.
Right. They could have just not put it there and then put it here instead.
Yes. I aside from the fact that I guess fucking Marlon Brando's in it.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But you still got the big heads, like guilty.
Right. It's a good bit. Would have been a great opening here.
Yeah.
So years later, the Phantom Zone is shattered near Earth by the shockwave of a hydrogen bomb thrown from Earth by Superman. The three criminals are freed and find themselves with superpowers granted by the yellow light of the sun. After landing on the moon and effortlessly killing a team of astronauts exploring there, they continue toward Earth with plans to conquer the planet. This is where you get
we just went over so much stuff.
Yes. Real fast though, since we're here, to conquer the Earth.
Damn it, Brian! You tell me you're doing that so I don't fuck it up next time.
I know. I thought of it while you were talking, so you didn't fuck anything
up. So the opening credits in this are a huge step down from the opening credits in the first movie.
Yes,
they are like a opening credits to a TV show. Like I was half expecting HBO Max to give me the option to like skip intro.
Yes, extremely. And I'm going to say I have that criticism for a lot of the first half of this movie.
It was like they would show scenes from the highlights from the first movie and then a couple of credits,
right?
And then more highlights from the first movie and then a couple of credits.
Right.
I mean, I think the Rocky movies do the same thing. The first 5 Rocky movies, just like previously on Rocky.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which home video, not really a thing at the time. So actually the movies kind of maybe needed a little
refresher.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a good little refresher.
Right.
Because chances are the last time that people saw it was a couple of years ago when the last movie was out, right?
Or caught it on TV. Because that was more of a thing.
So I'm just going to go through the notes as I see them here. I feel like, at least in the parts that Lester shot later, Christopher Reeve is fucking massive. Like bigger. He got bigger.
Yes. Which it's several years later.
Yeah. So the stuff that Lester shot, you can tell like he's even more jacked than he was in the first one.
Definitely. A lot of some stuff is all over the place here.
Yeah. We should talk about the opening Paris sequence. That was a Lester thing, right?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Tower. This all ends up. Yeah. Wow. The whole Paris sequence was in that paragraph. I think it's a pretty good little sequence.
No, it is. It's a good like.
But yes, it's all entirely Lester.
Opening set piece, a good little James Bond thing. Basically, what's happening is French terrorists have taken hostages at the Eiffel Tower, as French terrorists do,
of course.
And they have a nuke there. They're going to set off if I can't remember what their demands are.
I don't
think it matters. Lois Lane is there covering it, and she decides to get closer for some reason. So she walks up. How tall is the Eiffel Tower? Like 65 stories?
Pretty big.
She walks up these staircases to the bottom section very quickly, Brian. Like,
yeah. Hey, she's got to go. She's Lois Lane. She's the she's a goddamn ace reporter. You think some stairs are going to slow her down? She's goddamn Lois Lane.
You know how hard it is to climb like 30 flights of fucking stairs or whatever she does? I
am a 3-floor walk up and I struggle.
Like, it takes me that long to get out of bed as the fastest she ran up those stairs.
And I'm 90% sure she's in heels.
And then, so Superman, he is at the Daily Planet, and then he finds out about Lois, right? In France. So he starts flying there. And it takes him like the entire set piece to get there, like 5-6 minutes, which is weird because in the previous movie, he spun the world backwards. He was flying so fast.
Well, he was so emotional.
Oh, he wasn't emotional. Anyway, I like that he gets the bomb. He flies it into space. He throws it off. It's fun. And then, of course, it blows up the Phantom Zone. Come on.
I hate when that happens. I don't know how that was supposed to go. It goes down differently in the Donner cut. I think
right, because there's no nuke.
Right. But I don't remember from what I've read. Anything else from this from the Paris segment? Margot Kidder's great.
Now we're doing the moon. We talk about the moon.
Right.
We cut to the moon. It appears to be a joint Russian-United States. Is this like an aspirational?
It has to be.
Because we're in like 1980. Is it like, aspirational? We're getting along with the Soviets and we are.
It's gotta be. And then also mixed with Star Wars has come out and been the biggest fucking hit in the world. And it was like, put the fucking moon in this movie. Even though, actually, though, the moon stuff is Donner.
Sure, yeah. I'm just saying.
So that wouldn't be the case.
Wishful thinking. Like we're getting along with the Russians. We have a moon base.
Right.
They've been up there for a month or whatever.
Right.
And then there's kind of a yikes joke in there. Do you?
I don't remember.
It's not super yikes, but the American guy inside the like space shuttle or whatever is talking to Cliff Clavin back on Earth.
Yep.
And, yeah. And he's talking about the cosmonaut who's out on the moon. He's like, yeah, we're actually married now. We've been up here so much. Like, just kidding. Just a little off-color comedy there, Houston. Haven't gotten a lot of sleep.
Cool. Cool moon guys. I'm gonna confess, I watched up until this point shortly after watching Superman 1. And then when I sat down to watch today, I just kept going from where I'd gotten to last time. So that's a little fuzzier in my memory.
Yeah.
But yeah. Woof.
You can also see the curvature of the moon when you're on the moon. I don't think that is how that works.
No, moon's
normally.
tiny. Moon's real tiny. You just
not that tiny.
No, super tiny. little baby moon. You can run that. You can run around that shit in an hour.
That's like an asteroid they're on.
Yeah, that's all the moon is.
Okay, that's all
I don't know where I'm going with that. Yeah, okay. Okay, the Daily Planet sends journalist Clark Kent, whose secret identity is Superman. Thanks, Wiki.
Like, if they think there's someone who got this far on the Superman 2 wiki.
Just in fucking case.
It's like they're like, oh fuck, okay. It's like a YouTube video, Superman 2 explained. Clark Kent is Superman.
There you go. Whose secret identity is Superman, and his colleague Lois Lane to Niagara Falls. This scene sucks. It sucks. It just sucks. It's everything here from I think we can just talk about the entire Niagara Falls sequence. So they're at a hotel. I don't know if this is before or after when they're actually at the falls, but they're at this hotel, and this is where we get to the real Lester stuff. And I don't want to. I have not seen another Richard Lester film, or at least one that I think I saw a funny thing happen on the way to the Forum in high school. But like, I'm under the impression this is like, get this shit done on time and get it done under budget. And that appears to be how we shot this. Talk about it looking like a TV show. It's like the least cinematic thing possible. It is a fucking set. It is flats, right? Like, and just camera pointed clean at a set. And we do a lot of oneers, not your fancy film school oneers. Just say your fucking lines. Walk over here, hit over there. There's blocking. Just get it done in one. Come on. We get an occasional close up.
You're talking about when they first get to the hotel.
Yes. Oh, it's
okay.
awful. It's awful. I think it's one of the ugliest things I've maybe seen in a movie. It's so bad. It's really stuck in my fucking craw, man. It's ugly. So, in order to keep the narrative concise of my history with Superman 2, I left out, at some point after Vancouver, I did rent Superman 2. I got to that scene, and I turned it off. I'm like, this is terrible.
Oh.
I was like, this is ugly as hell, and I turned it off. It's bad. It's really bad.
Wasn't the Donner cut out at that point?
Yes, it must have been, yeah. But I didn't have access to it. So they're at Niagara Falls for some reason. They're posing as a newlywed couple for reasons?
They're investigating the hotel, some kind of scam.
Right. So a kid falls.
No, not a kid, Brian. Of very clearly a kid dummy.
Yes.
Falls off of the railing into Niagara Falls. Like it's like it's the funniest. It's almost like a Conan O'Brien sketch or something where they just cut to like an obvious dummy flying through the air.
It's what you could have done was show nothing. You could have just you could have seen that effect and gone, let's skip that one. I think they get it.
Yeah. We'll imply it when he falls off the railing over Niagara Falls. We don't have to cut to the dummy.
Right. But Clark Kent has stepped away to go get some food, and Lois Lane asks for fresh squeezed orange juice. So what's Clark gonna do what if they don't have like, you'll get the orange juice they have.
Yeah, it's not like decaf or regular. It's not like most places are like, oh, did you want that fresh squeezed or
do you want the old ass like from or do you want our bullshit like 90% apple juice with like orange flavoring?
Brian, just for the record, if I ever offer to get someone orange juice and they told me fresh squeezed, please, unless I'm fucking that person, you better not come at me with that shit. There is no way I would ever accept that. But even if it was someone I was sleeping with, it would be a rough sell. But anyone else, don't.
You'll get whatever fucking orange juice they have.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? They call back to this later. I don't.
Yeah, that's rough writing. Like you could have said like decaf or something else. Like fresh squeeze.
Right. Do you want just going up to a stand? Is like, do you want the fresh squeezed orange juice or the old shit?
Yeah. Like Or just like, hey, can I have some orange juice? Can you squeeze it freshly right now, please?
There's some
From
oranges.
the oranges?
Squeeze that shit. Let me watch. Let me see you do it.
So right before she asks him to go get fresh squeezed orange juice, she sees him without his glasses for a split second, right? Because they're foggy.
It's ultimately as like bad as I think this whole sequence is. Christopher Reeve is great. Margot Kidder is great. And like when he's his glasses, they start fogging the glasses, and you can see Clark like panic a little bit, like, no, I'm gonna need those back.
Yes. I do think he's fast, like faster than the speeding bullet, so he could have just yanked those glasses back from her really quick.
Right. I do love, obviously, you just don't the glasses are the only reason you don't recognize them. Like, thing is the answer is because it's a 1940s comic book character. That's why.
Right. Yeah. Fuck off. Get over it.
There is no other answer. That's the answer. It's because he's an old ass comic book character, and I like that they lean into it here. I think it's
you have to. That's the thing with these comic book stories. You have to lean into it, Brian. You have to lean into it.
Yes.
You have to. Even the Nolan Batman movies, I would argue, leaned into the absurd Batman stuff.
Right. Absolutely.
Certainly, you have to.
That's where I think attempts to make a Superman movie modern have struggled a little bit. Superman is an inherently silly character. Most of those old comic book stories were like a mad scientist makes a big fucking robot. And Superman's got to go be strong at it. And like it is silly. It's silly and for kids, and like lean into that a little more.
It's like with Batman Begins. It's like he dresses up like a bat. You have to
right.
You have to accept that.
Right.
He went to ninja school, Brian, and came back and dressed up like a giant bat.
What Gotham on Fox should have been, what it clearly should have been, was Smallville, but taking place at a ninja school, at a ninja high school.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. It's not too late. Boom, let's get on that pilot, baby.
What would you call it? Like Ra's al Ghul's place?
Yeah, there you go.
Or
boom,
like...
done. Ninja Mountain. Mount Ninja.
So we were talking about the glasses. Yes. Takes the glasses off. She sees that it's Clark. Or she's like, you look kind of like Superman. She's not 100% convinced then, but she's like, well, that's weird. And she kind of shakes. She just kind of goes, whatever.
Right.
And then when Clark saves the boy from falling,
there's convenient. And once again, Clark's not here.
Yeah, he puts it together, kind of. Did you catch when Superman saves the boy and flies back up, the crowd is like clapping, and they all like, you hear a few different lines, like ADR lines of people saying, "Oh, what a nice man," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you hear the line in there?
I didn't hear it, but I know what it is. I don't want to say it. Like, do you want to say it?
I'll say it. It is. It's like there's like, "Oh, what a nice man," and then it's like an older lady says, "Of course he's Jewish."
I do love it. It's actually good.
That's not
it's good.
That's not
bad.
bad.
It's not bad.
That's not that bad. No, it's like you would never hear anything like that in
no
superhero movie now. Probably for good reason.
Though, and also Superman obviously also created by two young Jewish boys. It's fun. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lois suspects Clark and Superman are the same person after Clark is absent when Superman appears to save a child. It appears and saves a child who falls. So now Lois decides she's going to force Clark to admit that he is Superman. She proceeds to straddle the railing as Christopher Reeve is doing his best Clark of like, "No, Lois, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And Lois makes a risky gamble here and throws herself off into the fall.
And I love that not only does Superman stay in character as Clark, like he commits when no one is watching him. He's still doing the Clark thing. He's like, oh no, there's no one around.
Right. Right. You can handle like that is the funny thing about this like pre-John Byrne Superman, right? The classic Superman is there's bumbling Clark Kent and there's Superman. There isn't really that in between yet of like Clark pre-Superman who like it's one or the other. There isn't that really like nuanced like I'm Superman I'm not putting on the whole Superman gimmick. I'm not bumbling around. I'm just Clark from fucking Smallville. Which Clark has just kind of modern Clark Kent has kind of just become that now. Which we've talked about before, kind of being sad because I also like bumbling Clark, but
yes, I really miss bumbling Clark. The gaslighting is a huge part of my love for Superman.
Yes, it was my wife and I have been talking a lot recently. Like gaslighting was a word of the year from one of the dictionaries, and it is very funny. Of gaslighting, the term is frequently used wrong, incredibly wrong. It's become synonymous with just lying. You know?
No.
Of like, if your boyfriend is cheating on you, he's not necessarily gaslighting you. He's just a piece of shit.
Yes. Gaslighting is if you found out some evidence that your boyfriend was cheating and he convinced you that you were crazy.
Like Superman does to Lois Lane.
Yes, constantly. Yes. Like Superman and Clark Kent on Smallville. Just like, oh, that's ridiculous. It like makes you feel stupid for thinking it. Like, oh, wow. Okay, Lois.
Lets you roll off of a railing into Niagara Falls and just watches you go rather than admit the truth.
I do like that once she washes ashore, Lois is like upset at Clark. She's like, I can't believe I thought you were Superman. It's like, whoa, I told you not to jump, lady.
Imagine being on this date. A woman comes out of the river and it was just like, why? I really wish you were Superman.
Yeah, like just gets mad at you like, God, I can't believe I thought you had superpowers. When you like begged her, you were like, I don't have superpowers, please don't.
I'm really truly begging you, don't jump into Niagara Falls.
You're not getting a second date from me, lady. There's no way.
She also seems upset that Superman didn't show up.
Right. She's displacing that anger on Clark, although it's not displaced because he really is Superman.
Once again, he is gaslighting her in the proper use of the word gaslighting. Yes. So Lois intentionally places herself in the falls, but Clark saves her without exposing herself. What he does is he like heat visions a branch, and then she's able to use the branch to float back to shore. So then we cut back to the fireplace or the hotel room where just immediately after the scene, we can get into the logistics of this, but Clark trips over a very tacky, like pink bearskin rug.
And I did say like, why would Clark trip? That's ridiculous. But then they they put a line in there where she's like, oh, you subconsciously did it on purpose to reveal it.
Right. What I don't understand is why have a whole scene where he's gonna hide, like, and we do this whole Niagara Falls set piece that's bad. It's a bad set piece. I don't like it. I don't think it's well done. And just to then reveal it in the next scene. Like,
right. No, I don't hate the Niagara Falls set piece, but I did one of the same thing. I'm like, because you're doing all that, and then the next scene she just finds out anyway.
Right. It could, in theory, be funny if I were to write and direct this movie, it could be funny to have a whole elaborate thing of like having him try to maintain the Clark Kent facade, save her, and then some stupid thing gives him away anyway.
Right.
But that's not what happens here.
No. Because there's other scenes. They cut to other stories in between the Niagara and
Right.
when she finds out. Yeah.
Right. So Clark trips. He hits this tacky fireplace. But oh man, his hand is fine, and that's when the jig is up. Even though like the scene has problems, like I said, it's shot ugly. I think, man, Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder are doing great work here. I think this is great work.
Yes.
It's Reeve's shoulders go back. He kind of goes into like Superman posture. And my favorite bit, it might be one of my favorite bits in the whole movie, is Clark goes, "We should talk." And Lois just goes, I think it's an incredibly Lois Lane line, just very matter of fact. I was like, "Oh, I'm in love with you."
Yeah.
I think just very like it's not even like too wistful. It's not like dreamy. It's just okay. Now that we're on the same page here, I'm going to give you the information that you need to know. I'm in love with you.
Right. Yes.
Which,
if life were only so easy, Brian.
Right. To which Clark gives the effortlessly charming Christopher Reeve is like, "Then we should really talk." It's I would say it's a very good scene, despite everything Lester is doing here working against it.
I do think she's great in it, but I do think this script does Margot Kitty dirty.
She was much more, I believe, involved in the Donner cut. I believe there's much more Lois in the Donner cut.
Good. Yeah.
For years afterward, before the Donner cut came out, Margot Kidder would like insist in interviews that there's a much better Superman 2 sitting in a vault somewhere that she's in a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not like a terrible like wrong that they did to her, but they just put her on the back burner, man, and she just becomes the romantic interest, which Lois Lane should not be. She is a romantic interest, but she should almost be a co-lead of these things.
Yes,
in my mind,
it's a lot of like, especially it's most of like Lois Lane's involvement or like is kind of going to end here in these sequences. After that, she's kind of going to get relegated to just reaction shots going, Superman!
Right, yes. Yeah, for the rest of the movie.
Especially like the emotional core of it. And it is an incredibly like it's supposed to be in theory a very two-way romance. It's not just Clark's feelings for her. It's her feelings for him. And we don't really get her side of it in a satisfying way. And it's a shame. Right.
Well, I can see the problem because the villain in this one is 3 superpowered beings. So what is she going to do? But you got to come up with some, maybe have her battle Luthor or something on the side. Give her something to do.
Yeah.
Rather than just go, come on, Superman.
Right. It's, and don't get me wrong. She's still in the original movie. Still has a little bit of like damsel in distress syndrome.
Oh yeah.
But man,
she just got a little more spunk in the first movie.
Right. And it's just like, it already wasn't like perfect in the first one, and it gets a little worse here. And that said, Margot Kidder, I think, is great with everything working against her.
Yes.
Okay. So, that night, Clark trips and his arm lands in a lit fireplace. When his hand is unscathed, Clark reveals that he is indeed Superman. He takes her to his fortress of solitude in the Arctic. When they get them flying, I was just thinking of her freezing again and just coming back.
Yeah.
No.
Well, they add another fucking line where what does she say? Hold on, I wrote it down. Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, she says She says, I guess I should be freezing, but I'm not. Okay, screenwriter. That's not enough to cover, like, she's in the Arctic standing there. Just because you have her say, I'm not cold, that doesn't cover your ass on that one.
I'm more okay with it in the fortress than I am them flying through the Arctic. What's your excuse there before they even get to the magical fucking fortress?
Well, it's not just them. I mean, the wiki is kind of leaving this part out. I'm sure they'll get to it. But Lex Luthor escapes from prison, and then he's in a hot air balloon with Miss Tessmacher. And they're over the, like, snowy mountains, and they're both just, like, wearing nothing at all, pretty much. Just, like, no big deal. It's fine.
The actual answer here is this is a cartoon, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Just being pedantic.
I think don't draw attention to it at all. Don't be like,
agreed.
I guess I should be cold. Just like, no, just it's fine.
Right. No,
we're
well past that.
You mentioning it does not make it better.
Right. He takes her to his fortress of solitude in the Arctic, showing her traces of his past stored within energy crystals. I will say I don't see the... Okay, no, the Lex Luthor stuff is later. A lot of the stuff here was intended to be Jor-El. That said, so all of this stuff is reshot. There is a bald man, a bald Kryptonian. Fun fact, that is Lobot from The Empire Strikes Back, Lando Calrissian's friend.
I know who Lobot is. He's got the permanent headset on.
Yes. But yeah, that's Lobot. And then we make the swap with a lot of the Jor-El stuff is reshot with Lara L, Superman's mom, who also pronounces it Krypton.
She's like, I'm sticking with Brando. Yeah. Krypton. The fortress of solitude. I can't remember how they come on the subject, but when they're in the fortress, Superman is watching his mom talk. Oh, no, it might be Lex. It's Lex. When Lex is there watching her talk, someone's there watching, and she talks about the Phantom Zone, and she's like, the Phantom Zone might be cracked by a hydrogen bomb. Like, I sure hope that doesn't happen.
That would be really inconvenient.
How does she know what a hydrogen bomb is? She's from a different planet.
You saying they don't have hydrogen there? They can send...
Do they call it hydrogen? She's just like... The one thing that might happen to break this open happens, of course.
Right. It's. I believed you when I saw it. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the hydrogen bomb cracked it open. I went, yeah, sure, makes sense to me.
We need to have his mom call her shot.
She decades prior, of course, on the planet was sitting like, I fucking told you a hydrogen bomb. I'm telling you, a hydrogen bomb cracked that shit open. I just want it on the goddamn. Let me on that crystal camera. Come here. Get out of the fucking way. Okay. Superman declares his love for Lois and his wish to spend his life with her. Oh, like, all right. How about you go on a date?
Seriously,
buddy. You're ready to throw everything away. Whoa.
Like, you've only known her as a different character.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Try it out for a little bit.
Yeah, maybe move in together.
It's like, I'm Superman, and by the way, let's get married now. I'm Superman for now.
I mean, if I was her, I'd be like, I need to figure out if he is Clark Kent pretending to be Superman or if Superman's pretending to be Clark Kent. You know what I mean? Which one's the real one?
Right. Okay, so after conferring with the artificial intelligence of his mother, Lara, Superman removes his superpowers. Okay. So this is rough. Even for this.
Oh, you mean the little montage of when he's losing his powers?
It's the whole sequence is rough. So yeah, Clark goes to his mom, his artificial mom, and is like, "Yo, I'm done with this shit." You see that? See her over there? She wants to smooch me, so I'm done. I'm good. And Lara is like, "Oh, okay, well, go in that box." And he does. And then some trippy shit happens. Would you mind describing the trippy shit?
I mean, I don't even remember. It's just a random nonsense. Like
his skin peels off.
Right. It cuts to like what I would describe as drawings.
Yeah.
Of Superman, and you see a skeleton. I don't know. It's bad. It's bad. And then, what's happening here is I believe he's being exposed to the rays of the red sun of Krypton, which will strip him of his powers. Sure. It's right. Not quite explained, like, why he has to do. It's like, hey, if Lara at one point says, if you're going to be with a mortal, you got to be immortal. Right.
Which, Why? Is it for boning purposes?
I also he doesn't even consult Lois. He's not like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah, right.
She sees him get into that chamber, and you can see in her eyes, she's like, wait, I only love you for your powers.
Yeah, right. Or bare minimum, I wanted to get fucked around by it. I did want to fuck in the sky.
Can we try a few things first?
Yeah, right. I'm a little curious about a couple of things first.
He makes the decision fast.
Which might make sense if this is the only way he can have sex. That's the only...
Right. Yeah, I feel like they should have just put that line in.
Yeah, it's like, I gotta take care of something.
I don't like the way they did it, but I do like the story beat of...
Yes, I agree.
He loses his powers.
Yes, I agree.
Which I think clearly seems like an influence on Spider-Man 2.
Absolutely. You had mentioned that before, and I having not really seen this movie. It is funny, Spider-Man 2, which I think is a 5-star perfect movie. I think it's a perfect movie. I think takes a lot of the stuff that's good here and kind of hones it really well.
Right. I haven't seen that movie for a long time, but memory serves, it's a very good movie, and it's better than this movie, certainly. But very similar.
Yes. It's, there's a fairy tale quality to it. It's kind of treated very fairy tale-esque, right? Which is okay. But man, I would have liked to have seen, I think in a better movie, like Spider-Man 2, we would have seen why being Superman and being with Lois would be difficult first, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You would see the struggle of being Superman is not all easy. And then you kind of see why he was like...
It's not all sky fucking.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I guess it's not as earned in this one. It's just like... it's because his mom says so. It's
just... A lot of this movie, especially the first half of this movie, is just throwing things at you. It was like, well, I love Lois Lane, and now I can't be Superman. It's like, oh, okay.
Sure.
Whatever you say. Let's see here. Removes his superpowers by exposing himself to the red Kryptonian sunlight in a crystal chamber, becoming mortal, which they do after the transformation takes place. He's no longer in the Superman outfit. He's in...
Right. It also changes his clothes.
Right. He's in a white shirt and just black pants, which in Donner's cut, he got changed for dinner.
Oh, well, that makes a little more sense. His parents programmed that thing with Earth clothes.
Yeah. Well, see, if you don't have powers anymore, you look like an asshole. So we're just gonna get you set up with a little outfit. So he is now mortal. Clark and Lois spend the night together in the goofiest 70s fucking space sex bed.
It looks like a giant silver beanbag. It looks so uncomfortable.
They then leave the fortress and return from the Arctic by automobile. That's the other thing I was maybe thinking about. It's like, hey, we're in the middle of the Arctic and you just got rid of your fucking superpowers. This sucks.
Yeah, do we call an Uber?
Yeah.
He must have had a car stashed there.
Definitely. Okay, so what we need to get into now is the three Kryptonians, General Zod and his buddies. They have a little bit of a world tour here on Earth, and we see them learning about their powers. I gotta say, Terrence Stamp here is great.
I think this is where the movie picks up.
I agree. I completely agree. There's a lot of so there's a handful of sequences in varying orders of the Kryptonians, and they demonstrate their powers for people, and they're a little bit fish out of watery as they discover their abilities on Earth. There's a lot of some slapsticky stuff in here that doesn't always work for me. I didn't love the cop scene. I don't know about you.
I didn't love the slapsticky parts, but there's a lot of funny lines in these sequences from the people.
Yes, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also funny, and I think this has gotten some criticism, but I'm okay with it. In this movie as a whole, it's real loosey-goosey with what the actual powers are.
Yeah. Zod is a Jedi.
Right.
So
he has
cool.
Telekinesis. And though I gotta say, is Superman
and also finger beams.
Right. And lifts people up with his finger beams. Though Superman has a couple of powers here that I would describe. So one of which is hysterical, and we'll get to that.
Yes, I can't wait till I think Family Guy did a bit about it. It was great.
But I gotta say, overall, I don't know about you, I don't mind. Nerds always want to codify everything of Superman has this power and this power and this power and this power, and they work like this and they do that, and they come up in these situations. I kind of don't mind in the comics. Superman has had every fucking power under the goddamn fucking whatever fucking ridiculous thing a guy thought of that week, Superman could do it. And I'm kind of okay with that. If Superman has a lot of fucking weird abilities.
Sure, yeah. I do think you want to be consistent to a point, though, within the world. Otherwise, it's what are the stakes?
Definitely.
At any point, they can do whatever. But, yeah, according to, I wouldn't be upset because it wasn't that way in the comic.
Right. Arguably, though, things are I think just they can do whatever is true to the comic. But I'm okay with I'm not worried about hey, historically Superman hasn't had that power. Or the Kryptonians don't have that power. If you can just be hey, whatever. Sure. Superman does that here. So
I did like when the Zod and the other two land in front of the cop car. The cops are like, hippies, get out of the road. The one of them's they look like they're from California or something, or Los Angeles.
Yes, that was good. The wiki jumps us all the way to the White House. Is there any other stuff we want to cover?
Yeah, I want to go over a few things. What is when they go into a bar and there's these rednecks or arm wrestling or whatever. One of them says he loses in the arm wrestling match, and he's like, "You only smell strong." And then the other guy says, "I only lost because I didn't want to lose my place in the orchestra."
What does that mean?
He didn't want to. he didn't want to hurt himself, so he couldn't.
Oh, I see.
He couldn't play in the orchestra. Like the joke is that he's in the orchestra.
Got it,
Obviously,
of
he's
course.
not. And then when Zod, what is the girl's name?
Ursa.
Ursa. When she starts shit with the arm wrestling guys, one of them goes, "Girl or no girl, you're gonna spit teeth."
I love movie rednecks.
Then they have there's a news camera there at one point, and the guy doing a news report, and I don't know what the name of the small town is, but it's like a throwaway line I thought was really funny. He's like, exaggerated reports put the population at 123. Exaggerated reports.
I've only seen Zack Snyder's Man of Steel one time when it came out, but does this sequence basically not happen in Man of Steel?
Yes, I wrote down Man of Steel. The people who made Man of Steel saw this section of the movie and were like, what if we did this, but without charm?
Yes. 100%.
Actually, the whole, minus Superman losing his powers, the whole last half of this movie is pretty much Man of Steel.
Pretty much, right? Yeah, I think so.
There's a big fight in the city.
Right.
Where they use their powers.
It's just not as good.
It's just, there's no charm at all in it.
Right. We'll have to do Man of Steel at some point, I guess.
There are some serious car crashes in that sequence, though.
Yes. Oh, man, I wasn't even thinking of it.
God,
you're so on the
we should
ball.
have kept track. And I did think the model work was much better in this one. The helicopter crash, definitely a model, but it looks pretty darn good.
Right. Yes. There's some of the special. It's hard to give this a full letter grade higher, because the lows in this movie are lower than some of the ones of the first movie, but the highs are higher. I think
absolutely, very well put. Yeah.
Okay.
The roughest effect on the movie might be the hot air balloon.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, woof. So meanwhile, after becoming accustomed to Earth, Zod and his cohorts travel to the White House and force the President of the United States to surrender. The scene was hokey, but I did like it.
Yeah. In real life, the president bows right away, though. Just so you know, he kneels before Zod right away.
Immediately.
I missed a line when the helicopter tries to attack him. She goes, "Look, they need machines to fly." You had the powers for a half hour.
Real cocky about it.
You didn't have powers on Krypton.
Right. You were glacier mole people.
Yeah, you lived in the ugliest condos.
So Clark and Lois arrive at a diner and apparently haven't checked the news at all.
They don't get cable up in the Fortress of Solitude.
Right.
They just get Jor-El's old home movies.
Hey, yeah, no, I'm just finishing popping the popcorn. Go pick one of my dad's weird tapes.
Yeah, where he instructs you on, what? the giraffes or something. He just
the giraffe one. No, that's a good one.
It's like a bunch of master classes. It's for free.
Welcome to my table about
Jor-El
giraffes.
teaches filmmaking. Yeah, dude. Oh, I just had an idea. They should get Trump to do master class on the art of the deal. It's the funniest fucking thing.
Please, God.
Just rambling, inane nonsense. Actually, that sounds terrible. I don't want that.
I know, I want it. Clark and Lois arrive at a diner where a thug named Rocky sexually harasses Lois and beats up Clark. Clark gets his ass kicked by a dude and is immediately like, fuck this, I made a mistake.
Right. Great obviously a great little moment there. I do think in real life, if that guy saw a guy who was built like Christopher Reeve, even if he had glasses, I don't think he picks a fight with him. Though.
I generally think Christopher Reeve would have been able to hold his own in this fight, and would once again, Clark Kent is a persona.
Right. Also, they didn't cast for the bully. They didn't cast like The Rock. You know what I mean?
No,
it's not like
it's a trucker dude.
He's not an imposing guy.
No.
So I think, I don't know.
I think don't get me wrong. A punch to the face hurts, but I think Clark Kent should have been able to hold his own here. The fight is interrupted by an urgent news report where the president resigns his office to Zod. When the president pleads for Superman to save Earth, General Zod demands that Superman come and kneel before Zod. That's the line. That's the line, Zach.
That's the one, yeah. Also, I mean, that moment where he calls him out is like a very WWE. Like,
yes.
Come here, Superman! He yells his own name at the end of it.
Zod!
Kneel before Zod. Zod! There's a couple of good lines that we skipped over. I think it's when he's in the Oval Office where someone says, "Oh God," and Zod goes, "Zod."
Great. It is funny. I've talked about like having like mostly like absorbed this movie through cultural osmosis. Like I knew the major beats of this movie, and like I said earlier, I could fake my way through a conversation about this movie. But it is always funny hearing famous lines in the actual context of the movie they're in, and like that's not where I would have guessed.
Right,
Kneel before Zod was gonna come up
in the WWE call out moment.
Right.
I do like the right before that. I think is the Mount Rushmore effect. I do like that.
Ooh, you do like that one. I don't know how
I
I feel
do
about
like
that
it.
one.
I like it.
I think in a more, I think that really paints the tonal clash between the Lester stuff and the Donner stuff that's still in the movie, which is still a lot of stuff. Donner and Lester are
not a Donner thing.
No, that is a Lester thing. And it's the. I think it just really, really highlights that this is a movie made by two different people.
Just in terms of the effect, though, I think the effect looks pretty good.
It's fun, yeah. No, and like I said, I think if the whole movie was more slapsticky, I would have liked it. I would have been like, yes, that's really fun. But it's. I think here is, and I can't say it's fully as successful as this maybe would have been, though who knows. It's a little like Joel Schumacher had to go and like re-edit half of a Tim Burton movie, you know?
Right, yeah, that would, yeah. Oh my God.
It's a little like just...
The Batsuit has nipples in some shots, in other shots it doesn't.
Right. Okay, so realizing that he has made a horrible mistake, Clark returns to the fortress to see if he can regain his powers. I'm going to throw... How long does that take?
He walks back to the fortress, Brian. It cuts to a shot of him walking through a snowy road in the mountains like the Incredible fucking Hulk. Like, rent a snowmobile, man. What are you doing?
What are you doing? And I was thinking, like, how the fuck is he going to pull that off? And I was thinking, like, well, he did it as a teenager, but, like, no, he had superpowers when he was a teenager.
Right, yeah. He doesn't have superpowers. Also, like, time is of the fucking essence because Zod is killing people. He's like, I'm really emo right now, though. I just got to walk this one off.
And it's hard to be like, once again, this movie's very cartoony, but like, ooh, yeah, that one sticks out.
Real quick, I did want to say, because we haven't talked about Hackman very much, I like Hackman more in this one. I like him as a side character. I do as well. Conveniently, the next paragraph of the Wikipedia is all Lex. Okay, cool. So how about I get us caught up on Lex?
Lex Luthor escapes from prison with Eve Tessmacher's help, leaving his accomplice Otis behind. I wonder why that was.
I'm a little disappointed that at Miss Tessmacher, because I thought she was like turning over a new leaf at the end of the first one.
I agree with she helped Superman out, and now she's just right back with Luthor. What's up with that? I'd also say I'm disappointed in her role in this, which in the Donner cut apparently she has much like funnier lines, and they just seem to kind of excise a lot of them in this Lester cut.
We want it to be less funny, except for Mount Rushmore bits.
Which is funny. Most of the slapstick is Lester. It might have just had to do with like reshooting stuff. I don't know. I have no idea. It's because like you have to get the directed by credit, you have to be 51% of the movie.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it might have just been some stuff had to go to make room for the new stuff he had to add, and they didn't have a new script or anything, but. If she didn't come back or
who
whatever.
Who needs the script? We'll write things on the day.
That police scene has that vibe. Okay, Luthor and Tessmacher infiltrate the Fortress of Solitude before Superman and Lois arrive, and Luthor learns of Superman's connection to Jor-El and General Zod. He finds Zod at the White House and tells him that Superman is the son of Jor-El, their jailer, and offers to lead him to Superman in exchange for control of Australia. This is fun. I do.
Right. No, Hackman is so much better when he's not the main villain as Luthor, when he's just like kind of mediating, fucking shit up, like comic relief.
I'm a little gremlin. I'm just here to make a little trouble. It's
exactly, yeah. So Superman Returns basically took that whole going to the Fortress of Solitude thing, right?
Right. It's my understanding of Superman Returns is it's its own thing. It's its own thing, but take bits from 1 and 2 as needed. It doesn't perfectly line up by any means.
No. But yeah, it's spiritual sequel to those two.
I think that's the right way to consider it. I don't think it's literally in continuity, because it there are some weird implications if it's literally in continuity.
We'll get to that if we get to Superman Returns.
Right. The three Kryptonians ally with Luthor and go to the offices of the Daily Planet. Superman arrives after having found the green crystal that restores his powers and battles the three.
I was like, did I miss a scene?
You did. It's in the other cut of the movie.
What is the explanation? Because he goes back to the fortress, everything's destroyed, he's all bitchy and moany, and then he finds a green crystal. I thought it was kryptonite. I was like, oh, he's going to go use it as kryptonite against Zod or something. Then it cuts to the city where Zod's fucking shit up, and then Superman shows up with his powers. No mention at all for the rest of the movie how he got his fucking powers.
Because they made a whole thing like, yo, you're gonna go step in that thing and you're gonna lose your fucking suit.
Irreversible.
It's irreversible. So what happens in the Donner cut is Marlon Brando's like Jor-El projection is like, yo, I can sacrifice myself to give you your powers back. So like, I'm gonna go away. You're gonna lose this connection to me. But that will add back. That will give you your powers back.
I mean, it's an explanation.
It's an explanation. I'm not saying it's bad. And I will say, Jor-El and Marlon Brando has more of a presence through the movie as like the crystal thing.
But you can't.
It's better than I found a green thing and now I'm Superman
again. You
again.
Can't cut that out and put in its place nothing.
Like, why not why not have the mom do it or something? Like,
that's the huge challenge of the movie. How do you figure this problem out? You can't just skip over that.
Right. And you can still like make it work. And maybe the Donner cut does. Like I said, I haven't seen it. But like Superman has like a moment, he brings Lois here and he has the line like, this place is very important to me. And you can like show that and like, so, and then giving him losing something from the fortress. And like, so making a real sacrifice in order to become Superman again.
Right.
Can all work. And instead,
or have the sacrifice be that Lois has to forget that he's Superman and then he can't be with her anymore.
That'd work more conveniently than what fucking happened.
So you mean a memory erasing kiss?
That I mean, no, that'd be stupid, Zach.
No movie would feature such a thing.
That'd be ridiculous. So Zod realizes that Superman cares for the humans and takes advantage of this by threatening bystanders. I believe at one point they pick up a bus and Christopher Reeve selling it with everything he has. No, the people. The people.
I love Zod, not too quick if he just figured out that Superman cares about people.
Right. Okay, we're already cutting to the fortress on the wiki. So let's talk about this battle. There's a lot of good stuff. So it's a bit of a shame. The first movie shot a lot on the streets of New York, or at least what looked like the streets of New York. And not that they probably would have done these action set pieces. And some of this is Donner, actually. Some of this is, I actually don't know. I think
this is all Donner. Okay. I think all that's Donner.
Okay. I can't tell how I feel about this set. I think I kind of like the vibe of it, but it is.
I mean, they built a lot of fake buildings.
Yeah.
They go up pretty high. They're clearly fake buildings, but they're massive.
Right.
I kind of like it.
I also kind of like it. Yeah, but it breaks some verisimilitude of like the actual like on location stuff from the previous movie. But the vibe is kind of fun. It does look like a little Power Rangers-y. But I do love at one point the three Kryptonians use their like super breath, and it's like 10 minutes.
Yeah, but it's like all bits. There's all jokes in there.
Which
like I love.
I think that's Lester, man.
They use the super breath to blow him away, and there's a guy who's like, he's trying to maintain the phone conversation he's having on the payphone. Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was fucking funny.
I thought it was funny, but I don't like it. I don't think.
Oh no! Once again, wrong. You're way off.
Wrong or don't like it's the wrong word. I think. Once again, the conflicting tones of the movie.
It's like a fucking Simpsons gag, man.
That's exactly what it is. Similarly, there's a guy on roller skates in a glittery red vest who's getting like, whoa!
Yeah, he gets blown on. That'd be a fun ride, dude. That sounds like fun.
I found it a little goofy, which I wouldn't mind.
Oh. No, there's another moment where a lady's hair blows up, or is it blows up in the air, and she's like, my hair! And then her husband's toupee flies up, and he goes, your hair? What about mine?
Once again, if the whole movie was like this, I'd maybe have more fun with it.
I think this is a great short film. Like, this is a great Superman short film.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
5 minute.
Yes, on its own, you're right. I think completely excised from some of the other stuff.
Brian, if in the middle of a fucking Marvel movie's epic fight scene, some shit like that happened, I would stand up and cheer.
Best Picture Oscar. You're right. You're right. I can't argue. You're right. There's also the scene, and like, man, it's just one of the things Spider-Man 2 did better. But they think they killed Superman. He gets crushed behind a bus. Why would you think a fucking bus would? Why would you think that? Yeah. What has led you to think that?
His weakness is bus. You have to kill Superman. You can't shoot him. You can't blow him up. You have to throw a bus at him.
Gets him every fucking time. Okay, so it's directly before the wind scene.
Right.
But the townspeople, the city folk, are all like, "Yo, you killed Superman! Like, let's go get him. Let's go get these fucks who killed Superman.
Go get the aliens. Get them." Which you're definitely right. I was going to mention is a direct influence on a similar scene in Spider-Man,
right?
2, but it doesn't make as much sense here because like these are clearly 3 Supermen in powers. You know you're not going to be able to do anything.
Right,
so what
right.
do you?
Right. It's the moment in Spider-Man 2 is so emotionally fucking resonant, and it's I recently rewatched the movie in the last year, and it hit just as hard as it fucking did when I saw it like in high school.
Right.
And like, man, I kind of wanted it, you know, because I think that'd be really good in a Superman movie.
Spider-Man 1 has a similar moment where it's during the climax where they start throwing stuff at Ringo. You messed with one of us, you messed with all of us.
Right.
I thought that was that felt like a post 9/11.
It definitely is.
Yeah, moment. Yeah.
But also, I don't mind that shit in a fucking superhero movie, man.
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, so Superman. Any other thoughts about that? The city set piece.
There's one point where I think Superman uses a mirror to reflect heat rays back at one of them, which doesn't make sense because they're not lasers.
Right.
They're heat.
Right.
Right.
Close enough.
You just burn that mirror right up.
I guess that's true.
Dude, are they all hard as rock when they're lasering each other in the scene?
Whole time.
They're just,
especially Ursa, the hardest of them all.
Gotcha.
Oh fuck. I had a joke in my brain, but you can imagine what it is.
Okay.
Nothing you can't think of on your own. So I lost my spot. Oh, I lost my.
They're going back to the fortress.
I know. Okay, Superman realizes the only way to stop Zod and the others is to lure them to the fortress. Superman flies off, and Zod, Ursa, and Non in pursuit kidnap Lois, taking along Luthor. We get a shot of them flying. Lois on Ursa's back, and some guy on Non's back. Who we are led to believe is Lex Luthor, but I can tell you it is 100% not Gene Hackman.
Definitely not his voice. Definitely not his voice.
Upon arrival, Zod declares that Luthor has outlived his usefulness and plans to kill both him and Superman. This is where we get. Would you mind describing?
I was going to ask you to. I don't even know how to describe the thing that he does.
So, who is this to? Is this to Ursa or is it to Non?
No, I think it's the big guy. What's the big guy's name? Non. So he comes at Superman, and Superman, as he's known to do, grabs the S symbol on his costume.
Yep.
And pulls it and throws it at Non, and the S symbol becomes a giant cellophane wrapper.
And Non gets tangled up on it. And when will Clark be doing this in Smallville? When will we get a whole episode around Clark discovering this power? Because
the best part is that it wraps him up and then disappears.
What
almost immediately.
What the fuck was that?
That was drugs, right, Brian? There's no way that wasn't drugs.
Was just
coming up with that.
Why?
What if? No, hold on, bro. What if he throws the S at him?
I can't imagine, because if you and I were writing a Superman movie, and one of us said that, then he's coming up the stairs, and then he cellophane wraps him. Either of us would go, haha, yeah, okay, but really.
yeah. It would. That's something we would maybe joke at 3 a.m. when we're tired and we're like, he just throws it. It just becomes a cellophane wrapper. But Brian, that's not the only power we add in this last scene of the movie. We're just adding powers.
Right. The other one is that Superman can make like a handful of like projections
Of himself, yeah.
of which I have in my head. I don't know if this. I don't think this is the intention, but you could headcanon this that he's just running really fast to all
He's
the different
moving
locations.
so quick.
There you go.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I can work
Good
with
job.
that one. However, what appears to be happening is the full which is it Total Recall with the fake Quaids.
Wait. Refresh my memory.
They're chasing Arnold, and then there's a bunch of Arnolds, and Arnold looks like, "Oh, you think I am the real Quaid? It is."
Oh yes. Sorry, it all gets blocked out by the three-boobed woman. Just like that's all my Total Recall memory.
There is a rest of that movie, and it's pretty good.
some also varying levels of effects in that movie too. Total Recall.
Yes.
But they're all charming. They're all charming.
Yes, I rewatched it semi recently. It's a good movie. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Philip K. Dick, he knew how to write a sci-fi yarn.
You know it. I had to go with a girlfriend once to Philip K. Dick inspired improv, and that was the worst night of my fucking life.
I mean, you didn't have to say it was bad when you said I was forced to go. Like Philip K. Dick improv. Mm-hmm. This was like comedy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a word you associate with Philip K. Dick very often.
No. Nope. It's pretty rough. Don't do improv, kids.
About Philip K. Dick.
Or period. Okay. So, where are we? Superman tries to get Luthor to lure the three into the crystal chamber to depower them. Superman whispers this to Luthor in the loudest whisper possible. Hey, because Luthor basically comes up, and I actually really like it from Gene Hackman, explaining that, like, oh man, these guys, huh? Like, I always knew where I stood with you, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
let's team up, huh? And then, of course,
and
Luthor...
I appreciate Superman uses the same move Luthor used on him in the first movie. I don't know if you caught that, where he tries to make him think that he doesn't want him to do the thing he wants him to do.
You are right. You are exactly right.
Reverse psychology.
I did not catch that. Very fun. Part of me kind of was excited by the idea that Lex and like Superman have to like team up for a second, but ultimately it makes sense the way it goes, and it's good.
Right. I did. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, I hope that's what happens. I'd love a good villain hero team up.
Right.
But it makes sense that Luthor's a slime ball.
Right. So, however, Luthor, eager to get back into Zod's favor, reveals the chamber's secret to the villains. And I think Superman called Lex, like, you slippery snake.
Yeah. Lex in this situation is like all the like the sycophants who work for Donald Trump.
Yes.
And then he's like terrible to them. And they're like, what can I do to get back in his good graces? Please.
I do like
if I'm nice to him, he won't be bad to me.
Yeah. Right. I also like taking this scene. Take this scene as is, but assume all of Smallville happened.
Lex, you snake.
Zod forces Superman into the chamber and activates it. Afterwards, assuming him deprived of his powers, Zod tells Superman to kneel and kiss his hand. Superman, of course, kneels right away. Uh-oh, he's been got. Instead, Superman crushes Zod's hand and tosses him into a crevice.
And Zod goes, ah.
Now I gotta say here, for all we know, these Kryptonians, they get like thrown into a bottomless fucking pit, right? Which, you know, probably not surviving, right? You remember when everyone got fucking mad that Superman kills Zod in Man of Steel? Remember when everyone got so like, I hate that movie, but remember when everyone got so fucking mad? Hey, what do you think happens in? I know they don't show like them hitting like a bottom and like their bodies crunching, but like doesn't seem like it's a fun ride.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. I mean, I guess it's the same thing though. Like Michael Keaton, Batman kills people, but it's like it's a different reality. It's like a silliness.
Right.
Whereas in Man of Steel, he snaps his fucking neck and is like screaming "Rah!" when he does it, and like it's supposed to be so serious and intense.
Right. I will say, I gotta just not to give Man of Steel any fucking credit. I don't hate that as much as I feel like everybody fucking did. I'm like, Superman doesn't do that. I kind of like, so when a character quote unquote doesn't do something, the most interesting thing to make them do is do it, right?
Right. I mean, that is literally the entire plot of The Dark Knight.
Right. Right.
Batman doesn't kill people, and things are worse because of that throughout that movie.
Right.
And then at the end, he finally has to kill Harvey Dent by knocking him off that building to save the kid.
Right.
He has to compromise. And that's really fucking interesting.
Right. Which isn't to say Man of Steel like drove that home in an interesting way.
No.
Like,
it didn't earn it, and it didn't execute it very well, I don't think.
But I don't
like,
inherently hate it.
Like, I mean, if Zod came down and was starting to destroy cities and stuff, Superman, like, you got to kill him. You got to kill that motherfucker.
Right, and that is a dramatically interesting thing to make Superman have to do.
Right.
It's just funny the way people say, like, Man of Steel, like, if you go on Reddit, it was like, it wasn't true to the character. Like, that's not that movie's fucking problem.
No. The movie's problem is more basic storytelling stuff.
Right. Anything's fine if the movie's good.
Again, I think that's the best of the Snyderverse movies.
We'll have to do them at some point.
By a wide margin. Oh, Brian, do we? Are you ever going to watch Batman v Superman again?
Let me put it this way.
Was off the table.
Those will have to be Patreon bonus episodes. Like, we have to start making money before we do those. We have to start getting paid for this podcast before I dive back into those.
What's a realistic goal? One Patreon member? Like to get you to watch Batman versus Superman?
Okay. I'm setting this down now. I'm setting this down right now. It costs $25. The software I use costs $25 a month. When we get to the point that this show pays for itself.
We'd pay. Okay, so $25 worth of Patreon members.
So which will probably be like $5 a month.
Great.
Then we'll do the Zack Snyder.
And when we're in season 10 of Smallville.
Right. Okay, so we're almost at the end here. Luther deduces that sorry.
I was just saying my cats are starting to revolt, so it's good we're almost done.
Luther deduces that Superman configured the chamber to expose the trio to red sunlight, while Superman was protected from it. Non falls into another crevice when trying to fly over it, and Lois knocks Ursa into a third. Lois gets to knock the girl one in.
Right. That trend will continue in movies for a long time.
Yep. Superman flies back to civilization, leaving Luther behind and returning Lois home. I did think that was fun too. So this is interesting. It's not in the Donner cut, which means Donner probably didn't shoot it, but we don't know for sure. There is in the Superman 2 television cut, there is a scene of Zod and his Ursa and Nan being arrested outside the Fortress of Solitude by the Arctic police.
So they lived. He didn't kill them.
In the TV cut.
Right. Yeah.
Not in, however, in the Lester cut, it appears that they are dead. So at the Daily Planet the following day, Clark finds Lois upset about knowing his secret, but not being able to be open about her true feelings. So once again, the movie was really messy here of like, we don't know why. They haven't given us, we get a line of dialogue that Lois isn't cold in the Fortress of Solitude, but we don't get a line on like why they can't, like, is it the sex thing? Like you can work around that.
Right. No, it's very vague. She's like, it seems like she's upset that he has to go be Superman.
But that doesn't,
and she's worried about him or something, but they didn't earn that at all or set that up at all.
It doesn't make any sense. And they were, in the fortress, earlier in the movie, they were like, hey, you can't be with a normal lady. Why?
Right.
Why?
Right.
Why?
Like they're hitting, the structure is correct. Like at this moment, you do want there to be a reason that he has to go back to being Superman and her forgetting. But you got to earn it. You got to set it up somehow.
Like in Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
So Clark kisses Lois using his ability to wipe her mind of the knowledge of the past few days. Which that famous Superman power.
How often would Tom Welling abuse that in Smallville? He'd just be kissing everyone.
That's just
left and right.
It'd actually probably be better for everyone's like head health, brain health, if Clark could just smooch him. Because currently he has to rely on concussions.
If like Lana and Clark were together and he tripped and fell into a fire and then didn't burn himself, there's no way he'd be like, the jig is up.
Yeah.
He would be like,
Get over here.
I didn't fall into the fire. Yeah. I didn't fall into the fire. No, I didn't.
No.
You fell into the fire.
You're acting crazy.
I think you should get some help. You're being crazy right now.
Yeah, just like,
you're crazy.
You're just being a crazy bitch. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking. You fell in the fire, crazy fucking bitch.
Very good gaslighting asshole impression.
Later, Clark returns to the diner to get revenge on Rocky. I like this. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I love it. It's very fun. Superman doesn't really do revenge, I don't think.
No.
But he doesn't hurt him that much. He doesn't like kill him or something.
He pays the diner owner for the damages.
Yeah. I do. You have to tell me, is this intended on being dorky and bad, or is it actually supposed to be a funny line when he first enters? Clark comes into the diner, the bad guy, Rocky, he was complaining about his meal. He's like, give me some more of this garbage about the food. And Clark goes, that's funny. I've never seen garbage eat garbage before.
I think it doesn't work. Whatever it is, it doesn't quite work. I wish it was more fun.
It doesn't give us enough information to know if it's intentional or not.
Right. That's a great way to put it. In regards to like Superman doesn't do revenge, I do like some elements of that's not really what we're doing in this movie. Don't get me wrong. We very much have the monolithic American icon of Superman in these movies. But I like little moments of Superman being a human who's like, I'm going to show that fucking guy what's up.
Totally. I like it when Superman has fun, which is basically what he's doing there. He's like, 100%. I'm going to have some fun. 100%. I earned this.
100%. Superman restores the damage done by Zod, replacing the American flag atop the White House, and tells the president He will not abandon his duty again. And I gotta say, it was literally those final fucking minutes where I'm sitting there and I'm criticizing this movie and I'm criticizing this movie, I'm criticizing it. And then that final moment happens and I'm like, I liked the movie.
I mean, I love ending with him flying up in space above the earth and like smiling.
Yes.
Like just like he's just having a good time. Like did Henry Cavill ever smile in Man of Steel?
Not one time. Not one time.
I just love Clark's like, I'm just going to go up in space and fly because it's fun and I'm going to enjoy myself. And the music soars and it's just a great ending. And I was even like, gave me chills when he was flying around with the American flag. And that's so fucking stupid, but I loved it. I was like, Superman, America.
I'm with you. I like it when Superman likes being Superman. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
It's also fun to do like the weight of it and for it to be hard. But I also like it when Superman just likes being Superman and is doing his best and doing a good job.
Yes. That's an important part of the character.
Yes. Yes.
Superman is not Batman.
Right. Batman would give anything to not be Batman.
Right. Superman is almost the opposite of Batman. Right. It's like very different.
Right. Let's see. So that was Superman 2. I'd give it a thumbs up. I'd say I quite liked it. Critical reception was pretty good. Roger Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 stars, like he gave the first movie. I think Gene Siskel gave it 3.5, and declared it better than the original.
That's what separated Ebert and Siskel from most of the major critical establishment at the time, was like they would embrace these popcorn movies.
Right.
They'd be like, fuck you, it's great. What are you talking about?
Yes, absolutely. Janet Maslin, reviewing for the New York Times, wrote that Superman 2 is a marvelous toy. It's funny, it's full of tricks, manages to be royally entertaining, which is really all that it aims for.
Great.
It's also interesting that she says she found the directing style between Donner and Lester to be indistinguishable, which I have some notes there. But I think generally the conception at the time was like the issues behind the scenes of this movie were not as like known until later. Just the way, like, it's not like now where we know everything about a fucking movie production.
Right.
So like it wasn't until like much later that it was really established, like, oh, all the good stuff in this movie is still Donner.
Yeah. So she thought Donner stuff was Lester. She's like, oh, it looks great to me. It looks like it's all the same.
Right. No, the indistinguishable stuff was probably Donner stuff. I'm just browsing through Wikipedia here. There's a list of like the stuff that is separated, but I think we covered the important stuff.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the last week's episode, the original ending, the Donner Cuts ending, is that he spins the world backwards, and that's why Lois does not remember.
Right.
Which doesn't make sense either.
No.
But I wonder what the original ending of Superman 1 was then, if they were going to save that for 2.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the story goes that, I mean, really, realistically, I assume they didn't have one. Because they didn't use Puzo's script, right?
Right.
So they were kind of, I think, figuring some stuff out on the fly with Mankiewicz, who was the quote-unquote creative consultant. So Donner has said that had he been rebrought on to finish Superman 2, he would have figured out a different ending. Whatever this ending with the Lester ending isn't the ending he would have done, and he wouldn't have done the time travel ending.
Right. That makes sense. That makes total sense.
So it was okay. We scooped that ending because it was like finish up the first one. Okay, we'll just bump the who's ending, and then we'll come up with something for that.
Memory Kiss is really lazy.
It's bad. It's just that said, oh man, we didn't really talk about it. But Margot Kidder here, great. It sold me on it. Both of them are great here, obviously.
Yeah.
It's such a dumb, stupid scene, and it doesn't justify itself at all. But you wouldn't guess that based on how good they are here. It's so good. And
do you think they had Superman add all these other random powers to make the Memory Kiss look less, like stick out less?
I wouldn't. The Memory Kiss has apparently appeared in the comics before.
Oh, really?
I'm not kidding. Every fucking thing under the sun has appeared in a Superman comic at one point. Of like before, like the powers were kind of canonized. Writers would just do, what the fuck ever. This is for children. Who cares?
I was reading somewhere that I'm sure they're going to try to challenge it in court, but the Superman character is going to be public domain soon.
Yeah.
But it's like the original Superman character, so you can't do all the stuff that he's become.
Right.
Which is a very, like, how do you differentiate that? That's going to be interesting law.
Definitely. At the moment, I guess, it's so first issue Superman can't fly. He's not from Krypton. All of that stuff just got sucked in later. I think Krypton first appeared in like the radio program. It's kind of crazy.
So we got a while before you and I can make our own Smallville sequel series.
Someday, though. We're going to be fucking 100 years old and like, it's time. Zach, anything else we should go over about Superman 2? We'll be back next week with Superman 3, which
I'm excited. I haven't seen. This is uncharted territory for both of us.
All right.
I mean, excited is probably the wrong emotion to have, but
we're gonna
get maybe
Superman 3. We're gonna get the closest thing we're gonna get to like Bizarro in the Christopher Reeve series. We're gonna get an extended Richard Pryor storyline, and Annette O'Toole as Lana Lang.
Oh, that'll be good. I mean, it's all Lester movie, right? It's all.
This is all Lester, baby.
You're gonna hate it.
Oh, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real. It's Lester. It's funny. Did a lot of the Beatles movies.
I heard that. Yeah,
Hard Day's Night. Which
I'm gonna be interested to learn. The one thing I'm looking forward to is in the movie Office Space. They reference that their like heist that they're doing is like ripped off from Superman 3.
Yes.
I'm going to finally understand that joke, and I'm excited.
I'm with you. But I'm mostly excited about Annette O'Toole. That Smallville connection is going to be, I think, is going to be real nice. And then
it's a lot of Smallville stuff, so it'll be good.
Very true. All right, Zach, do you have a? First off, go to talonmix.show. That's where you can find the link to our Discord. All the episodes are posted there. That's it. Zach, do you have a question for the Smallville gods?
One day, will Brian watch Batman v Superman again?
No.
Yeah.